Hey, what's up, Pisces? Welcome to this timeless tarot reading. This is going to be general, so take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm not liable for any misinterpretations that you take from this. Make sure that what you glean from this is true insight and not vapid delusion. Alright. So, bear with me a bit. Every once in a while, my camera decides to freeze up on me, so every once in a while I'll have to take a look over and see if it's frozen. And if it is, I'll reset it, but it might freeze up for 20-30 seconds. I've been lucky in the last two reads, though it hasn't happened. So unfortunate in that regard. Alright. Another thing, Pisces, is that I'm not a big fan of drawing cards off the top and laying them out. I feel like that's a little hasty, and perhaps tarot readers have to be hasty like that because users will click off of the video if it takes too long. But I'm not going to sacrifice my authenticity of clarifying and shuffling cards just for that sake. I want the message to be clear from Spirit, and for that I need the card to flip out very clearly or pop out very clearly. So bear with me as I do the shuffle to find some kind of general energy for you to start this reading off. I've had pretty good readings my last few reads. I'm actually a little bit new to tarot. I've only been doing readings for maybe 7 or 8 months, and I'm very new to actually recording them for all of you. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking a moment to let this reading come into clarity. 2 cards flipped out here, but I'm going to hold off and try and let 1 card flip out. It would be easy, though. It would be so easy to just take those cards and say whatever, but it is very important that Spirit chooses the cards and not my haste. But, seeing how short people are actually watching these videos from time to time, all of you might disagree, and you might insist that a faster pace is taken. So maybe over time I will have to adapt to that. I would rather not, though. I'd rather it just doesn't feel authentic. Okay, so this card's pretty clear, so I'm going to go with this card. And what we've got for your starting energy is okay, so you have 9 of Wands in reverse. So this card is it doesn't match your energy. It's a fire sign card. It is in the reverse, which indicates that it can symbolize getting over some of these issues. It is a card that needs a little bit of clarity, though, and as soon as I say that, look at that, you get a flip out in the upright. So you have the reverse 9 of Wands clarified by the 7 of Cups in the upright, which is another card that takes a severe amount of clarification. The upright 7 of Cups is a card that can indicate a lot of variety. Lots of choices on the horizon. A lot of decision, perhaps indecision. It is better than being in the reverse, because in the reverse it can often signify letting the abundance actually cloud your judgment. So being in the upright is good because it's more about your freedom to pick in terms of variety. And since we are looking at the 9 of Wands in reverse, clarified by the 7 of Cups, there is perhaps some kind of hard work you are finally achieving. Perhaps you have taken a lot on your shoulders, and that is going to pay off with you being able to actually have some options in your life. So to a certain extent, you are going from a sort of you're overcoming a certain rigidity from the 9 of Wands, and you're fortunate enough to find yourself in an option to have some variety. So give me 1 second here to double check the Nine of Wands, because that card can throw me for a loop from time to time. So I know in the upright, it can signify kind of like, it can signify being almost there but not quite there. So it can signify that you have accomplished a lot, but you're kind of more torn from that. You're weary, you're tired, you have more to go, but you have achieved a lot. So it's kind of puts you in a weird spot where you're not quite where you want to be despite all your effort. Okay, now I'm looking at the reverse Nine of Wands, and it's a lot more about kind of being pessimistic about this. So here we've got somebody who is kind of, they understand their situation. They understand that they're weary, that they're tired, that they've done a lot of work that they're not done yet. In this instance, though, the person is to a certain extent letting it affect their mentalism. They're letting it deter their emotional quality. So instead of just being kind of fundamentally aware of the situation, you are putting a lot of extra negative weight on it. When you see the Nine of Wands in reverse, so I'm kind of wondering why the Seven of Cups is here clarifying this, because the Seven of Cups is a card that also requires a lot of clarification, so it's not good when it's meshed up with a negative card, because kind of what this is suggesting is that you are maybe letting all of the weariness deter your abundance, or you are perhaps meeting this negative resistance because you have too many options. Something to that effect. Kind of a tough read. It's not exactly, I wouldn't exactly call it a happy read. The Seven of Cups can represent abundance of choice, but when you are leading with this negative Nine of Wands energy, that is not the greatest combination. So if I'm taking a look at the Seven of Cups again, okay, so a good point that it makes here is that the Seven of Cups, because you have so many choices, it can kind of lead to like analysis paralysis. And because there's so many options, there's the potential for there to be illusions within those choices. It creates more opportunities for you to have the wrong idea in all of your abundance, which another thing it can signify is refusing to compromise. So perhaps what's going on here is you have too many choices and you're having trouble compromising on them. The variety is actually deterring your ability to move beyond this Nine of Wands energy. In that instance, the Ten of Cups wanted to flip out. What's this? Alright, so you had the Sun card in reverse wanting to pop out, and that's disappointing as well. The Sun is notorious for being very bright and full of energy, but that's unfortunate then when it shows itself in the reverse, because that energy is getting blocked, or that energy is not getting through to you. So due to this Seven of Cups being flanked by these reverse energies, there's a good shot that, dang, You even got another major arcana in reverse, temperance in reverse. So this is kind of a disappointing energy to see. There is some kind of variety at your disposal, but there is a good shot that you're having trouble making that decision, or you are getting paralyzed in analysis of that decision. Maybe you're too weary from this effort to see clearly, but whatever this blockage is, it is not yielding greatly within your, whatever this dilemma is. You're having trouble seeing the light. You're having trouble finding good qualities due to this temperance card in reverse. You're not making healthy decisions. Or maybe it's not that you're not making healthy decisions, but you are not growing into good qualities. So it's almost as if this variety is not serving you for some reason. The variety is proving to not temper you into greater quality. It's in fact bringing out worse parts about you. And the sun kind of clarifies that with the fact that you're not shining that light out. That's strange though, because you still have this card in the upright. It's not in the reverse. It's not as if this is reversed energy. So it's like you might even have great choices at your disposal, but something is not meshing out properly. So that's definitely very strange, because it would be nice if all of this, with all of this variety at your fingertips, falling into these is disappointing. It is definitely disappointing. And there's a good shot that a lot of this is resulting from your inability to get over this hurdle of the Nine of Wands in reverse, which is a little bit of a mental struggle about not pushing through to the end, not getting to the final hurdle. You've only got one more wand to go here, but you're tribulating over like how hard it has been, or you're tribulating over the fact that you've got more to go, even though you're almost done. You are holding yourself back for some reason. And that inability to, here we have a card, so let me see what we've got here. And in this instance, we have the Seven of Wands in the upright. So, not a card of, it's kind of a disappointing clarifier, because the Seven of Wands, seeing as how we have the Nine of Wands in reverse, it's almost a regression. It's not just that you are having this issue with getting stuck in this place, maybe because there's illusion within your options, but the result of this, which is lacking in light and lacking in tempering great qualities, it's leading you into some sort of confliction. You are finding yourself at odds with others, or you might find yourself at odds with others. You might find yourself standing your ground, but these aren't the greatest choices to stand your ground on. This isn't the greatest choice to stand your ground on. If you're bothering to stand your ground so much, why don't you put that energy into moving beyond this Nine of Wands? And if you did that, this variety would probably allow you to temper better and take up your greater qualities and shine forth your light. But for whatever reason, you're running into confliction here. And what it's coming back to is the idea that you have, it's all about like, there's also a semblance of failing to learn from past mistakes. There's a semblance of, the cliche line is failing at the final hurdle. giving up at the end. It's all about not seeing things through to the end. And because you're not seeing things through to the end, you're dealing with these issues. That being said, though, the Seven of Cups showing up in the upright. Okay, so a good point is that because you have so many options, it can lead to procrastination. So sort of what this clarifier is one reason why you are stuck here is perhaps you are procrastinating very hard. Even though you might have a lot of choice on the table, maybe you're stuck choosing. That's one way to read this. Whichever way you read this, though, the Sun and Temperance in reverse is pretty clear, and then the Seven of Wands is pretty clear that you are having to deal with confliction. But it's not you don't want to be standing your ground on these. You don't want to be fighting against other people trying to illuminate you to the fact that you're dealing with this for these reasons. Dang. So that's this is kind of a tough read for you, Pisces. I apologize for that. This is not the most optimistic read I've ever seen, to be completely honest with you. So I apologize for that, because it's not everybody's cup of tea to get their bubble burst, but to a certain extent, that is what is happening here with this particular set of cards. So it's actually turning into a pretty clear set of messages here. I'm going to do a couple more shuffles and see if I can get anything else for you from Spirit, but I don't really have... We have one card here that wants to come out. This is unfortunately clear, and it's disappointing, but you can use this, you can take this message to do something else to get over this hurdle and actually see your variety clearly, and then you can get to these more optimistic qualities, and you wouldn't have to necessarily deal with all this confliction from these negative energies. So we're going to take this card here, and you got the once again, you got the Five of Swords in reverse. The Five of Swords is unfortunately another card of confliction. It's a card of people going separate ways because they, in some instances, just disagree. In other instances, though, it is because the strong are continuing forward while the weak have given up. However, typically what happens is in the upright, this person is the strong one who has the mental fortitude to continue the journey, and these people are giving up. And this person is the benefactor because they're gaining these extra swords. The problem is that in the reverse, very often, this person is the deluded one, and these people are seeing the path of least resistance. So, as another clarifier for this Seven of Swords confliction, this message is coming down to the fact that, besides for this Seven of Cups here, which is, it feels a little out of place in the reading, the rest of it is pretty clear. So if I was to yank this card, it would be pretty straightforward. So I'm not exactly sure what the Seven of Cups is trying to signify, other than that in a reading like this, it's even in the upright, it can connotate a more negative quality, unfortunately, because the Seven of Cups is a card that relies on severe clarification. In the upright and in the reverse, it can be modified by the cards around it quite a bit. So unfortunately, with the rest of this reading, some kind of hallucination or some kind of procrastination from indecision is leading to all of this tribulation. And the final result of it is the fact that people, after this confliction, are going to have to leave you. They're going to have to take the better route that they can see when you don't see it. For whatever reasons that has come upon you. whether that's because you gave up your energy or you decided to not push through, or you let it get the better of you. Whatever distractions you're running into, the other reality is that your inability to see through this and find the light and the optimism is leading to confliction that is going to lead to some kind of separation here, not in your favor. You are not the one, according to this reading, that is in the righteous position. These people are leaving you behind for their own sake. It's not because they're not strong enough. They even tried here to set you straight to a certain extent, but the end of this is looking like on this, if you stick on this path, you are going to be left behind, and you're the one who's going to be at fault at the end of the day. So I'm very sorry, that's not great to hear. It is not a wonderful deliverance of a message. And if you were looking for a purely optimistic message, this was definitely not that. To take away light from this, though, this all of this can be turned around if you can figure out what this final hurdle is that you need to overcome. And if you can move into this energy of just accepting the tribulation of the situation, not letting it defeat you, you can probably turn all of this around. And with these major arcana in the center, if you can turn those two around, that is a massive change and a massive victory. And this Five of Swords and the Seven of Wands would no longer be about this confliction and this separation. And you would be able to make these decisions about your variety and actually utilize that abundance for your good and for your betterment. And you could probably overcome this conflict, and instead of this conflict being accurate criticism about your inability to change, you would actually be able to be on the righteous side of this, standing up for yourself, because you actually have your light and your temperance. Alright, well, I guess that'll make this reading pretty short. Typical for other readings I do. So, Pisces, once again, I apologize that this reading was not as optimistic off the top as you might maybe hope. Maybe you were looking for validation in your choices, but this reading is suggesting that you have got to reconsider why you are dealing with this tribulation. And it's insisting that if you can right those wrongs and accept that there's something that you can work on, then you're not going to have to deal with this confliction with the people around you. So I hope you can sort that out. And I hope that you can take this message to heart and apply it to your life so you can truly find that seven of cups abundance that you deserve and that light of the sun that you deserve. So that's going to be it for now, Pisces. Thank you very much and take care.